Autoline Daily is brought to you by Bridgestone, passion for excellence, and by Dow Automotive Systems, innovations for clean powertrain solutions.
This is Autoline Daily for March 16, 2011, and now the news. The United Auto Workers Union is holding a convention in Detroit next week to determine its bargaining strategy with GM, Ford, and Chrysler. The Detroit Free Press reports that the union wants to win back concessions. Union President Bob King says workers gave up between $7,000 and $30,000 in concessions over the last decade, and they want that back. Here's my Autoline insight. The union better tread very carefully. Most Americans believe the union played a major role in the collapse of the Big Three. It's highly unlikely the UAW will win back all those concessions, but it does have a very good chance of getting lucrative profit-sharing agreements with the automakers. Also, in January, Bob King said he would announce by the end of the month which foreign automaker the union would go after to organize. Well, here it is, mid-March, and we haven't heard peep from the union on this issue. Clearly, Bob King has his hands full fighting what he sees as anti-union efforts in Wisconsin, Ohio, and Michigan, but it sounds like the union is falling behind in its efforts to go after the transplants. Here's an update on that catastrophe in Japan. According to Ghosn, joint venture automakers in China are worried about part shortages, as are other companies and suppliers. The Detroit News reports semiconductors are one piece of the supply chain that are particularly vulnerable. Japan accounts for about 22% of the global market for these high-tech components. Power outages and seismic activity are very disruptive to semiconductor manufacturing. On the bright side, Toyota, Nissan, Denso, and others should start reopening factories next week. Buick has been upgrading its product portfolio for the last few years and doing a pretty good job of it. Now the brand feels it's the right time to upgrade its image as well. Starting with this week's March Madness basketball tournament, Buick is launching a new ad campaign that will be tough to miss. For the next 21 days, it'll be on television, print, social media, and even on the NC2A website. Get this, Buick expects to get about 1 billion impressions. And if you want to change your image quickly, that's one way to do it. When you think of emerging markets, countries like China, India, and Brazil come to mind, not the United States. However, auto supplier Honeywell considers the U.S. as an emerging region in terms of turbochargers. According to Bloomberg, the company, which is the world's largest maker of turbos, predicts that the number of cars equipped with them will double from around 9% today to around 20% by 2015. Honeywell believes they'll become more popular due to stricter fuel economy mandates. Carlos Ghosn's apology for the whole espionage scandal might not be enough. Some members of the French government say they cannot let this pass and that they'll get to the bottom of who was responsible. As of now, they haven't discussed Ghosn's resignation, but you have to pay attention to all this because the French government is Renault's largest shareholder with a 15% stake. Hey, what do you do when big corporations won't listen? Well, you shout loud enough for them to hear. One very angry Lamborghini owner in China demonstrated his dissatisfaction with the company by publicly smashing his Gallardo yesterday, which also happened to be World Consumer Rights Day. China Car Times reports the disgruntled driver did it to prove to the world that Chinese consumers deserve the same level of service as others. Why would he do such a thing to a 6-month-old car that cost more than $500,000? Well, last November the Lambo wouldn't start. The dealer hauled it away and attempted to fix the issue. It failed, and in the process, damaged the bumper and parts of the chassis. I'd be pissed too. The owner complained to said dealer, contacted the brand's China headquarters, the service manager for Lamborghini's Asia Pacific region, the company CEO, and even the Volkswagen Group. No one would listen. So he figured destroying the car was the ultimate way to show his dissatisfaction, and something tells me Lamborghini will hear him now. Coming up next, it's time for You Said It.
Introducing Bridgestone's third generation of run-flat tires with groundbreaking new Bridgestone technologies. Bridgestone run-flat tires offer improved ride comfort, lower rolling resistance, and improved wear while giving you the peace of mind and comfort you need.
And now it's time for some of your feedback. Mike G. wrote in to say, if folks are not happy with Alan Mulally's pay for performance, I'm sure Ford could hire back Jack Nasser. Then the whiners would see that Mulally earned every penny. No question, that's a great comparison. Alan Mulally deserves every penny they give him. C-Tech wants to know, why would the CFO Liddell leave GM now? I can't imagine quitting without lining up your next position. Is there a CFO job fair coming up? C-Tech, it's simple. Liddell left Microsoft to go to GM because they told him he might become CEO. When they passed over him to go with Dan Akerson, Liddell said, I'm out of here. Puckus21, or is it Puckus21, is wondering why Ford does not want to bring the Mondeo to the U.S. Well, Puckus or Puckus, they will bring the Mondeo to the U.S., except they're going to call it the Fusion. Rajgul Kulraj is disgusted with the video we used to cover our stories on India. Guys, he says, I'm repeating again, for God's sake, please get a new video about India. All the cars that you show in the video are no more in India. We don't have those man-driven three-wheelers in India. Please, don't embarrass us. Raj, we don't want to embarrass you, so we'll get another video. But give us a little time. It's not as easy as you might think. And Jim has a point of contention on our coverage of the earthquake in Japan. He says, small point, John, but I think you meant tremor, not trembler, which I don't think is an actual word. Jim, actually I said temblor, not tremblor, and temblor is a word that means earthquake. It comes from the Spanish word for earthquake, but is commonly used in English as well. Bob in Atlanta says, I saw an Oscar Mayer Wienermobile in Knoxville a few weeks ago. It was a converted Mini. They must be using it to promote their cocktail wieners. Bob, first I thought you made this up, but I went online and sure enough, there is a Wienermobile based on the Mini. And that brings us to the end of today's report on the top news in the global auto industry. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.